Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajananandana Yashodanandana Brajajananandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupada Brahmansa Bharavaja Jaya Ashtadharshata Shri Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Can you pass me a book, please? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Seventh Canto, Science of God, the Science of God, Chapter 1, the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone, text 28 and 29. Kitaha Peshashkrita Ruddhaha Kudyayam Tam Anusmaram Sangramba Paya Yogena Vindate Tat Sarupatam Kita Peshaskrita Ruddha Kudyayam Tamanusmaran Samramba Bhaya Yogena Vindate Tat Sarupatam Kita Peshaskrita Ruddha Kudyayam Tamanusmaran Samramba Bhaya Yogena Vindate Tat Sarupatam Kita Peshaskrita Ruddha Kudyayam Tamanusmaran Samramba Bhaya Yogena Vindate Tat Sarupatam Kitaha, the grassworm. Peshashkata, by a bee. Rudaha, confined. Kudyayam, in a hole in a wall. Tam, that. Bee. Anusmaran, thinking of. Samramba by yogena, through intense fear and enmity. Vindate, attains. Tat, of that bee. Swarupatam, the same form. Evam, thus. Kṛṣṇa, in Krishna. Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead. Maya Mun Nuje, who appeared by his own energy in his eternal human-like form. Ishvare, the Supreme. Vairena, by enmity. Puta Pap Manaha, those purified of sins. Tam, him. Apuhu, attained. Anuchintaya, be thinking of. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A grassworm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee always thinks of the bee in fear and enmity, and later becomes a bee simply because of such remembrance. Similarly, if the conditioned souls somehow or other think of Krishna, who is Satchidananda Vigraha, they will become free from their sins. Whether thinking of him as their worshipful Lord or an enemy, because of constantly thinking of him, they will regain their spiritual bodies. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 10, the Lord says, Vita raga bhaya krodha manmaya mam upashataha bahavo jnana tapasa puta mad bhavam agataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. There are two ways of constantly thinking of Krishna, as a devotee and as an enemy. A devotee, of course, by his knowledge and tapasya, becomes free from fear and anger and becomes a pure devotee. Similarly, an enemy, although thinking of Krishna inimically, thinks of him constantly and also becomes purified. This is confirmed elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 30, where the Lord says, Apichet sudara chayo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadar eva samantavya samyag vavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he engages in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. A devotee undoubtedly worships the Lord with rapt attention. Similarly, if an enemy, sudaracharaha, always thinks of Krishna, he also becomes a purified devotee. The example given here concerns the grassworm that becomes bee-like because of constantly thinking of the bee that forces it to enter a hole. By always thinking of the bee in fear, the grassworm starts to become a bee. This is a practical example. Lord Krishna appears within this material world for two purposes, pritranaya sadhanam vinashaya chuduskritam, to protect the devotees and annihilate the demons. The sadhus and devotees certainly think of the Lord always, but duskritis, the demons like Kamsa and Shushapa, also think of Krishna in terms of killing him. By thinking of Krishna, both the demons and devotees attain liberation from the clutches of material Maya. This verse uses the word Maya Munuje. When Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears in his original spiritual potency, Sambhavami Atma Maya, he is not forced to accept a form made by material nature. Therefore, the Lord is addressed as Ishvara, the controller of Maya. He is not controlled by Maya. When a demon continuously thinks of Krishna because of enmity toward him, he is certainly freed from the sinful reactions of his life. To think of Krishna in any way, in terms of his name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, or anything pertaining to him, is beneficial for everyone. Shinvatam Sukata Krishna Punyat Shavana Kirtana. Thinking of Krishna, hearing the holy name of Krishna, or hearing the pastimes of Krishna will make one pure, and then he will become a devotee. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to introduce the system of somehow or other letting everyone hear the holy name of Krishna and take Krishna's prasad. Thus one will gradually become a devotee and his life will be successful. Om Ganati Varandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuvanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kritavachalam Bangam Langayate Grimya Kritamaham Vande Shri Gurundin Taranam Bancha Kapadribishcha Kripasandabeva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Good translation again. A grassworm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee always thinks of the bee in fear and enmity, and later becomes a bee simply because of such remembrance. Similarly, if the conditioned souls somehow or other think of Krishna, who is Satchidananda Vigraha, they will become free from their sins. Whether thinking of him as their worshipful Lord or an enemy, because of constantly thinking of him, they will regain their spiritual bodies. So based on living entities' particular meditation, the meditation that they choose to adopt, then they will get a particular result. And here in this particular verse, it's saying that we should adopt the meditation on Krishna, because and this will be to our benefit. Like it's being mentioned in here, if the conditioned souls, if they think of Krishna somehow or other, then they will get a Satchidananda Vigraha, a spiritual form. Even says whether thinking of him as their worshipful Lord or an enemy, because of constantly thinking of him, they will regain their spiritual bodies. So even if one does this meditation on Krishna in a negative way, still that benefits there. Where's Amogalila?
I looked for him earlier, I can't find him.
Oh yeah? You looking for somebody?
I had to give him a message.
They're usually looking for you.
Yeah, very surprising.
He's upstairs? What is he doing? Maybe coming eventually? All right. Would you like to give the Ram Vijay class on Vijay Prabhu on this Saturday at the park? we're going to burn the effigy of Ravana, and there's some talk there too. So I was thinking maybe you'd like to give that. All right, it's a nice talk. Huh?
That's what you're asking.
What was that? Well, Ramapati wants to give the class too?
Ram Vijay?
Oh, Ram Vijay? Yeah. All right. So, and then Srila Prabhupada quotes a particular verse, Vitaraga Bhayakrodha, that being free from attachment, fear, and anger, absorbed in me, taking refuge in me, many persons in the past become purified of knowledge of me, and thus they all attain transcendental love for me. So we have to become free from this particular attachment to matter, or attachment to Maya. And we have to become free from fear and anger, all of these. And there's many other things we need to become free from. So Raghunath Das Goswami and his Manushiksha, Teachings to the Mind, there's one particular verse in which he describes the living entity traveling on the path of Bhakti. He describes that there's 6 thugs who stop the living entity. Yeah, thugs. Thugs or gangsters who stop the living entity on the path of Bhakti. And tie the living entity around the neck with ropes and this and that, trying to drag the living entity away from the path of Bhakti. And those 6 are the 6 enemies: lust, anger, greed, illusion, etc. All of these. So in that particular verse, it's translated in different ways, but in that particular verse, Raghunath Das Goswami says we need to call out to the devotees of Krishna, and they will come and help us. So in other words, when one is tempted, when one is challenged, when one is when obstacles present themselves before us, which they will, definitely, then the recommendation is to call out to the devotees of Krishna, to call out to cry out, and they'll come and help. In other words, we'll be protected. Come to the. You could. I mean, it means literally to call out. That's how I'm saying it, to call out. Just like if there's some danger when we're driving in a car, we should literally call out to Krishna, or Draupadi calling out to Krishna. So that's there. There's a literal sense, literally calling out, because we may not be at a temple. We may not be, much of the time, whatever, we're going to be moving in the world, and there might be obstacles that present themselves, like you're walking on the beach, for example, and Pacific Beach, and then someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, would you like to smoke this with me?" Now, for some devotees, who cares? It's like, get lost. I don't want anything to do with that. That's the last thing. Actually, it's not even the last thing. It's not on the list at all. But for some, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe I should. And yeah, what do you have there? And maybe they do it. Like someone was telling me that some brahmachari years ago. I forgot who it is, but anyways, he was telling me that there was a time. Yeah, he was, they just engaged in some picnic, devotional picnic with the Hare Krishnas, and we're all there, and then he was leaving, and this brahmachari was leaving, and somebody went up to him and said, "Hey, would you like to smoke this?" Some weed with, and he did it. You know, he didn't call out. Of course, you could say he didn't have the, anyways. But. So instead of taking shelter of Krishna, instead of calling out, Krishna, please help me, and running away from there, he just said, okay, I'll do it. So, in other words, to train the mind to literally call out, to take shelter of Krishna, rather than our mother, or rather than Jesus Christ, which that's good too. Better we call out to Jesus Christ than our mother. But if we're devotees of Krishna, you could say better call it to Krishna. So to train the mind to take shelter of Krishna, call it to the Srila Prabhupada, also Srila Prabhupada. These spiritual personalities, they're also powerful and they'll come to help as well, protect. Because it's not that Maya will go away. She doesn't go away. It's not that, yes, I've chanted Hare Krishna for 10, 15, 20 years and now Maya has left the world. It is Maya's world, as we were discussing the other day. Durga, right? Devi Dham, Durga Dham. It is Maya's place. So she's roaming everywhere. She doesn't sleep, by the way. Maya doesn't sleep. She's always active. But just as Maya is always active, Krishna is always active too. He's always there. He's always active in our heart, trying to inspire us to do the right thing. And as our friend here said that, remember you were telling me that they have like a little light when you're online or something, like a little green light. Oh, this person's online. So Krishna, he's always there. It's just our connection may not be so clear. So yeah, illusion's not going away, but so the idea is that we need to train ourselves how to, you could say, see the illusion or see through the illusion, not be bewildered by it. And this is what becoming free from these things means. It means that we become free from fear, we become free from attachment, we become free from anger when we're able to see things for what they are, means illusion, and not be bewildered by them, not be so bothered by them. Just like somebody may be in a life-threatening situation. Now, if a devotee is free from fear, then they're able to see through that. Okay, my life may be ending now, and all right, Hare Krishna. But if somebody's not free from fear, then yeah, they just lose it. Anger, right? There may be a situation that might be very disturbing, anger inspiring to us. But if we're able to step back and not fall into that, then we're able to see through that. So practically, you could say that you could say advancement will be tested just living in this world. Okay, how free of anger are you? How free of fear are you? How free of attachment are you? It will be tested. Krishna will test us. And then, upon failing or semi-failing, or whatever it may be, then we'll know, okay, well, I need to work on this. This is something Krishna's shown me, I need to work on this. But there is, through knowledge of Krishna, through purification, we can become gradually more and more free from attachment, fear, and anger. Amazingly enough, you'd think, oh, it's never possible. But it is possible. But as Javita Prabhu is saying, okay, literally call it, but Also, to take shelter of Krishna means different things. It means to maybe literally calling out, right, for help, chanting Krishna's names. Engage in ourselves in the process of Krishna consciousness, come into the temple, and as Srila Prabhupada very scientifically organized the morning program as with the 5 most potent forms of devotional service associated with devotees hearing the Bhagavatam, worshiping the deity, chanting the holy name, and hearing Bhagavatam class. So that's all in the morning program. So this is another way that we say we're able to be protected from these things. Because, again, like the difference between like that brahmachari I was talking about, okay, he was offered, okay, here you smoke this, right? And he fell for it. And somebody who's more advanced on the path, or maybe just didn't have that attachment in the first place, but you could say there's a level of advancement just to be able to reject that. The difference is, what's the difference there? It's how they're seeing it. They're thinking, this is a waste of time. I'm not doing this. I have better things to do with my life. Or like there was some man here, some young man who joined the temple for some time. He was a break dancer, actually. So he'd go out on Harinam in downtown, and he'd be on the, he'd be on the sidewalk like this dancing, and Bajranarayan Swami. Apparently Maharaj, didn't seem to mind it so much, but he was doing that, And yeah, I mean, he wasn't so serious, you could argue, but anyways, he did stay in the temple for some time, and yeah, I mean, there's a Sunday feast here, and then, I don't know, he meets some young girl, and they're like, closely talking to each other, and she's also been coming to the temple for, and then you just don't see them both, like, ever again. So now you could say that for somebody who's more advanced on the path, they may speak with, the girl or whatever, and that he ran off with. But they're not going to, run off together or get involved at all. Or if they do get involved, they're going to get involved in a, say, God-conscious, Krishna-conscious religious way. So it's just about, so the difference is how they're seeing things, how they're seeing that opportunity to smoke and get stoned, right? How they're seeing that opportunity to associate with that woman. So it's about how they're seeing things. So if a person becomes purified, then they see things differently. They think, okay, well, I don't. They see things through the eyes of Scripture. They see things in a Krishna conscious way, and they're able to, you could say, do things that are beneficial for them, and not do things that are not beneficial for them. So that's the idea. That's what we want to do. Because this particular verse of Bhagavad Gita, Apichet Sarachayo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak, saying that if one commits the most abominable actions, if he's engaged in devotional service, he's considered saintly because he is properly situated. So this verse is there, and it's an encouraging verse. Okay, even if my friend Krishna Das and so and so and so and so and so, even if they're engaged in the path, because being in devotional service or trying to be in devotional service for a number of years, we will know people who have fallen into sinful activity. Devotees. Good devotees. So seeing this verse, it's like, okay, well, apichet sadaracha, okay, they're devotees, but they're struggling, and they're still sadhus, right? And aside from that, people may see that verse in relation to themselves. That, okay, well, I've also not reached the proper standard. And it'll be encouraging to them. So it's an encouraging verse, right? Okay, even if someone commits a most abominable activity, they're considered saintly. Okay, great. But this particular verse, it's not meant to be a verse that we hold on to for dear life our whole lives. That, in other words, we're supposed to overcome our, you could say, faults, and become transcendental. Not that this becomes our favorite verse. All right, great. Means I could still kind of mix with sinful activity in the material world, and I could still consider it a sadhu. Okay, great. So the next verse says, quickly becomes righteous, right? He becomes righteous, Krishna says. Declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. So it's very encouraging verses. But just as it is very encouraging, we should try to move as quick as possible away from the faults that we have. Relating to this verse, Srila Prabhupada said one time about Brahmananda. He said, even if you see Brahmananda, if you walk out on the street and you see Brahmananda and he's smoking a cigarette, you should still consider him saintly. Now, that doesn't mean that Prabhupada was encouraging his disciples to smoke, not at all. But saying that if there's difficulties, okay, they're considered saintly. And then, so how do we overcome these faults? We overcome the faults of material existence. You could say the faults, the problems, okay, by calling out, by taking shelter, and by meditating. The deities are here. The deities are here for us to meditate on. We can meditate on them as long as we want, right? Try, if a man is married to a woman, he goes and he just stares at her for 1 hour. 2 hours, she'll be like, okay, get lost, stop staring at me. Or a woman comes and stares at her husband for 2 hours, right? So, okay, get lost, please stop staring at me, right? It's intolerable. You don't want someone staring at you. But Krishna is there, form of the deities, and we could take darshan as long as we want. And Krishna's there all day. We could come in at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5, 6. We could come in whenever we want and just take darshan of Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, meditate on Krishna, and this will purify us. This will allow us to become faultless. Chanting the holy names, meditating on prasadam. Prabhupada walked into the Berkeley temple one morning. None of the devotees were expecting Prabhupada to walk in. They were singing Samsara Davana Lita Loka. They sang that song, and then they were doing the English translation, which apparently they used to do afterwards. They'd read the whole English translation. So then they came to the point where it said, the spiritual master is very pleased seeing the devotees take prasadam. And on and on and on, right, about that verse. So then Prabhupada, he stopped and he said, yes. He said, this is the best part. And he said, what do you think, Krandar? He asked a few devotees, what's the best part? So, so meditating on prasadam means in a Krishna conscious way, meditating on the deities, meditating on the Bhagavatam. There's plenty of things to meditate in Krishna conscious. We don't have to meditate on the nonsense of this material world. So much nonsense. Or the people of this material world. It's just like better to meditate on Krishna because it's purifying. the other meditation is just it's not uplifting, to say the least. So yeah, to think of Krishna in any way, his name, his form, qualities, paraphernalia, anything pertaining to him is beneficial for everyone. Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana. So thinking of Krishna, hearing the holy name of Krishna, or hearing the pastimes of Krishna will make one pure. Then he will become a devotee. So we have to become purified. Shinvatam Sakata Krishna. Purified from the modes of passion and ignorance, those very binding modes of material nature, modes of passion and ignorance. We have to come to goodness, and then we'll understand the science of God scientifically, and we'll develop great taste and attraction. We'll experience love of God. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, we're trying to introduce the system of somehow or other letting everyone hear the holy name of Krishna and take Krishna's prasad. So book distribution, for example, we devotees are distributing books, and they're full of the names of Krishna, right? I don't know how many times Krishna's name is in the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe we could do a search sometime. How many names of Krishna is in the Bhagavad Gita? But the names of Krishna are there, and the encouragement to chant the names of Krishna is there in the books. That's what we want people to do, come to the point of chanting. And taking prasadam. So practically this prasadam distribution and book distribution is a unlimited service. There's always going to be people who do not have books, right? And even if you give all the books, give all the people in San Diego books, some of them are going to move away, and there are going to be new people moving to San Diego. They need books. Anyways, it's just an unlimited thing. With prasadam, right? You may feed them once, you got to feed them again and again and again. Krishna lunch, for example, in Gainesville, they've been doing that for decades. I think like 5 days a week, prasadam distribution. So it's an unlimited particular service. So we don't have any lack of engagement. And what is it now? October, November, December. So December is a time where devotees exert more energy and try to rack their brains how to distribute more of Srila Prabhupada's books. So it's a great time to do that. People have different conceptions when the marathon starts and when it ends, but I'm not sure what. Just the 1st of December to the 30th of December, maybe the 25th of December, anyways. So that's an opportunity as well. And then, by doing these things, then we'll become successful. Our life will be successful. Our life will become, completely successful, rather than just a waste of the human form of life, like a hog. A hog is just like. I saw a hog recently, actually, in Oregon. I was there. That was a big hog, and I mean the guy's just dirty, laying around all day, sleeping, eating, whatever you bring to him. We fed him some prasadam too, so I fed him some prasadam, but whatever you bring, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatever you bring, it doesn't matter what time you bring it. You could keep on bringing them, And they were telling me that, we said to stop feeding the pig because, he would just eat like whenever. And he just got so big he could hardly move. He would get up and he couldn't move. So we was like, stop, Or like a dog or a hog or a dog or The Bhagavatam uses all types of things, camels, donkeys. So they're all life forms, but they're not, they're just engaged in these four basic propensities and no God realization. So we want to engage in God realization, which gives the Brahma Saukam Tvanantam, that eternal happiness. So does anybody have any question or comment? Yes, Soul.
Welcome back, Balarama.
Thank you.
We missed you.
Thank you.
Dearly. My question was, you mentioned about at one point a devotee becomes fearless, and then I wanted to see how that plays out, because I was thinking about when Krishna was fighting on the battlefield of Kṛṣṇa, it's Krishna, but he became really fearless and charged towards Bhishma Dev, and Bhishma Dev was also in a sense his devotee, but at the same time almost fear. When Krishna charged towards Bhishma Dev on the battlefield, there was like a sense of fearlessness there. So this fearlessness just means like just being inert and just like if something's going to happen to me, I'm okay with it.
Oh.
Or brave in a sense, okay, I'm going to do something.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, it's both. It's like, it's not that necessarily devotees have to go out and, you could say, look for trouble. But when it comes, then the idea is to be fearless, to not be in fear. Like devotees went to Pakistan, Garga Muni and Brahmananda, and at the particular time there's a bit of a war and violence going on, this and that, and they didn't know that. And then when Garga Muni went to leave to get a flight out of Pakistan, there's a huge line, and he took a number. It was like 1,025 or something. People are just waiting to get out of there. And then he's like, 1,025, that's a long wait. So then he went to these Pakistani soldiers and he said, hey, I'm an American citizen. You see that Jeep right there? That's an American. And then he kind of went on, and and then somehow they got bumped in the line and he got out of there. But to be in, you could say, challenging situations, just to be fearless. So that's the thing. It's not necessarily you have to go and search for it. But simultaneously, like you're saying, okay, does it mean that we kind of brave and say, there's two words, devotees should be daring and active. So yeah, we should be, you could say, daring and active for Krishna, doing things. Doesn't mean necessarily you have to go to like a war zone or something to preach or anything like that. But not, you could say, just kind of retreating into our own world, but going out and meeting people, on the street, and going out and distributing prasadam. You're going to do that today, right? So you can't be fearful what's going to happen. You have to be daring. And also in terms of communication, fearless when presenting the truth. So it's not that we're scared to present the truth to any opponents. So that's there too. Does anybody have any other thing like to say? What about online? Any online participants? Okay. All right, so tomorrow is Thursday, and Mukunda Charna Prabhu will give the class on Mukunda Charna on text 30. So, all right, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.